Calling from a 610 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Sam. It's Mike from Pennsylvania. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Good. I wanted to call and talk a bit about taking the House back in 2018, if you have some time.
Go.
So basically right now, we got a 47-seat deficit. And there were 23 seats that Hillary won, but the Republican is holding right now.
Yep.
And there are 12 seats that Donald Trump won and a Democrat is holding right now. If we win all 23, we're still down 2.
Right.
And 15 of those seats were actually won by Mitt Romney. So these are not strong B seats. This crossover number is the lowest it's ever been in history. So there aren't really a lot of targets
Right.
to pick up. And that's, you had that rat fuck book, David Dalen, I think it is.
David Daly.
And
Daly, yeah.
Daly, sorry, yeah. I don't think people have really understood that we no longer really live in a situation where we can win through democratic means. But I don't mean to be hyperbolic here, but if you actually look at it, it's like we have to flip a coin 20 times and get it heads each time to win.
Yeah.
And they just have to win one coin flip to win.
Yeah.
It's not really. I mean, with Trump, who knows? But with Jeff Sessions coming in, like the voter suppression's going into overdrive. My hope is there's a Supreme Court case coming out of Wisconsin where they have rejected their partisan gerrymandering out of the circuit court. And if Justice Kennedy votes with the liberals and we get a 5-4 decision overturning partisan gerrymandering, then we might have something we're talking about.
Has that case already been argued, though?
It hasn't. I don't think it's been in the court yet.
Right. I mean,
no.
So the problem is,
but we don't need
this necessarily the Department of Justice, because there's going to be other people who are arguing it.
Yes. So I still think that we have a shot there, and I don't mean to depress people. It's just like I'm hearing a lot of like, oh, we'll get it in 2018, and I think we have a much better chance to get the Senate than we do the House.
Really?
And that's already like, yeah.
In 2018?
We are defending 8. Yeah, we have no shot. I mean,
right.
We're defending 8 states, 8 senators who were in Trump states, and there's only like 3 Republicans in Clinton states. So, obviously Trump's, doing very poor, and I hope he continues to crash, and, but politics 2008 before are much different than politics 2010 after.
Yes.
People are still living in this pre-2008 world, and they haven't accepted it. They don't, and this is really down in the weeds stuff. And I've been trying, in many elections since 2010, recruiting the best candidates, working our asses off. And I'm not even talking about the money deficit that Republicans have and the institutional deficit that we have. It's also that the districts are just so disgustingly and so sophisticatedly gerrymandered.
Yes.
It's not just the partisan top line, like, whether someone's a Republican or Democrat, but actually, using models going down and saying, well, we'll pack all of the strong Democrats in the district, and then we'll give the weaker ones. You know what I mean? So it's
yes. Okay. So let me just explain this, and people should go back. And I think we played this interview sometime, like in December, the late December of 2016. David Daly, who wrote this book about the gerrymandering, and what Michael's saying in terms of like weak Democrat, strong Democrat. There are two measures that people use when they're getting out the vote. And I think, Michael, you talked about this on the program. One is an index that determines where they're, I guess they are on the ideological spectrum or partisan spectrum, really the partisan index. Are they a Democrat or are they a Republican? And then the other index is how likely are they to go out and vote? So what has happened is in 2010, when Republicans took the state houses and the governorships, the new census numbers came out. They used data that was highly sophisticated, ranging from not just your voter file, when was the last time you vote? What is your propensity for voting? How often do you vote? But also, what magazines do you read? What what other things have you subscribed
surveys
to?
Have you answered?
What surveys have you answered? What's your profession? What's your income?
Yeah.
What's your age? All of these factors, they create models. Now, with that said, we all know from 2016 that models can be a little bit wrong. And so that's, yeah. Maybe they can be defeated at times.
I hate the models personally.
But they then decided, like literally down to the person, who's going to be in District A versus District B. And if your propensity was you had a high propensity to vote and you had a likelihood of voting Democratic, you would be sort of shoved in with other people who had that same propensity. So you'd get one district that was a guaranteed Democratic district, but you would create two other districts that were more than likely going to be Republican. So you'd get one district where the Democrat would win 90-10, let's say. And then around it, you'd get three districts where the Republican would win 55-45. No chance.
And that's exactly what happens in the purple states, where this is the most effective, like here in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, is we have 5 Democratic representatives. 4 are in seats where they win by 70% or more, and 1 is in the Michael Scott seat in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. One of my favorite congressmen in the country, Matt Cartwright. And Trump won his district by 10 points. I think it was the second highest. So he's like so Pennsylvania right now is far more Democratic than Republican. We went for Trump, and this is the first time we went for Republican since, I think, '88. But this is a very Democratic state. And we have, 13 Republicans and 5 Democrats. And, people talk about the 2 swing seats that are between Philly and, the Collier counties, the exurbs of Philly. But these are so sophisticatedly gerrymandered, it's insane. And one of them, for example, we ran
the only chance,
who was a PhD, who was a graduate from West Point, he was a PhD, he was a colonel, and he ran against a Chester County GOP hack.
Goddamn fucking right,
now, Mike. It's like, so it's not candidate recruitment. It's not fundraising. It is these seats. I mean, if you can't have someone who it couldn't be more qualified to be
let me just push back on this just one second. All right, no, look, I get it. And we did a show. The only thing I would say is that it is incumbent upon the Democratic Party to start to tie in Republicans to Trump.
Absolutely.
And the only chance, and this is why I think that there is there's a better chance in the House than the Senate, is that you can do that. Like 500 people in a district can make that connection to Trump. In a way that it's much harder to do with a senator, okay, in a state. And the one thing that I think, if Democrats take back the House...
But you can't gerrymander a state, Sam. You can't gerrymander a state.
Right. No, that's true.
So, they're so much far ahead of us. Like, even though the Senate is an inherently conservative institution that's not anti-democratic, it can't be cheated. The states are the states. And so whatever those arbitrary lines are, that's where we are. And, it's a disadvantage for us. But they have complete freedom to draw these districts in whatever shape they need to get an insurmountable edge.
Right. But here's the thing.
And that's what they've done.
The only thing that you can do...
happened.
The only thing that you can do is and work towards basically depressing the Republican turnout in these districts. I mean, that's basically what it's going to come down to, right?
Course, yeah.
It's going to be basically the same model that Trump ran in the general election is what has to happen in these districts, which is that people become, that the local congressman is so besieged and so relentlessly criticized and underwater that his supporters, and I do mean his, more often than not, they just are like, I just don't even want to deal with politics. Because we're going to have a time where the Democratic voters, those low propensity voters, are going to be more inclined to vote than they ever have before. And the high propensity voters, or even like the mid propensity voters, I would say, are going to be less inclined than they've ever wanted before. That's basically it. That's the only chance that we have.
Oh, well, I'm still holding out for Justice Kennedy. I think that, he wrote in the last partisan gerrymander case that was a 5-4 against, he wrote, well, we don't really have a good scientific way to look at this. I'm sure you touched on this before.
Who knows? Yes, I know. But we'll see. But
maybe,
let me jump.
Maybe Sotomayor will educate it. Well, wait, really quick, Mike, before you go, I'm sorry to push back. Stein 2020.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Got
we
you,
need to talk
bastard.
on Wednesday, Mike, because I think we need to do a Stein. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chapo Greenhouse, Majority Report, and Two Dope Boys cross pod where we talk about the Democratic Party brand.
All right, that sounds good. Well, call on Wednesday.
Are you guys actually doing a?
We just do.
We'll see you later.
I just do a Chapo Greenhouse segment when I host sometimes.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Over. Subscribe.